Thank you very much. We'll now return to item 14, and there's been an opportunity to think through an alternative approach to the planter boxes, and so I'll just hand over to Pauline, who's moving a resolution. I'm withdrawing mine with the agreement of the seconder. So, Pauline.
Yeah, thank you, Leanne. And thinking about this more carefully, it's actually a roading issue, which makes it a bit of a city roading issue. And you'll note the report has actually been signed by the team leader of the road maintenance team. And so it's a bigger issue than the community board. And I think it sits probably with the Transport Committee, who will, fortunately, the chair is also on that community board, so he'll make sure that this doesn't get dropped and have it addressed through that committee as part of a roading repair. And so I'm happy with that. And I think the reason that the board brought this to in this way is because it has been lingering around for nudging 9 years now. And it has been to council before, but buried within the reports of the community board without actually any actions being picked up. It's been put in the too hard basket, and the more time that progresses, the worse condition this situation is getting into, and possibly the dearer it will be to mitigate. So, Mike's happy to receive this at his committee, and I think that's the best way forward for this today.
Okay, so that's been moved and seconded. I'll put the motion. Debate?
Can we ask questions?
Oh, staff, yeah, can't have to come to the table.
Just, given this, I presume this is like a subdivision consenting kind of arrangement where we inherit these sorts of infrastructure. Have we looked at our infrastructure design standards and looked at amendments to ensure that we're getting sort of decent quality infrastructure that's not going to deteriorate?
Yeah, I mean, this was a legacy over 20 years ago, and we are reviewing the infrastructure design standards currently to make sure that they are appropriate, and obviously we don't get these issues coming forward. We'll also need to speak to the subdivisions team to make sure that they're aware that they don't inherit these things, and or if they are going to be built, that they are maintained in a way where the council doesn't take on liability, agreement or kind of easement, for example.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Tim and then Aaron.
I take it that review will probably go to Mike's committee rather than come back to full council. Would that be right? If you're looking at, because I mean it's not just this planter boxes. I mean I use the example of Northwood's Stonehenge. You know, these things are right across the city, and we do have to kind of. I'd prefer to see minimalists rather than cost. You know, we just don't have the money. So would that be coming to the Transport Committee if it's a roading issue, as we've just been told?
Urban development and transport, yeah.
The IDS, you've given delegations to make minor updates because we're updating them all the time, and we report back to you, I think, once a year or once every 18 months about those changes and recommendation for minor changes. So bigger changes would come back there, but basically those standards are being altered as new materials come and leave the market.
So Dave's talking about the infrastructure design standards.
Correct.
But I think Tim's talking about a different
I'm
thing.
talking about the icing on the cake that say perhaps a developer might call it, like the planter boxes, which look pretty, but it's like artwork, you know. Like some time ago we talked about what is the maintenance, and that had never been taken, and we just get these gifts and they turn out to be Trojan horses.
You're talking about the nice to have, not the need to have.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, yeah.
We are $2.1 billion in the poo. We've got to really start getting hard. That's all I'm saying.
And we're bringing that up through ELT, and then it'll come up to the appropriate committee, because it's more than it covers assets on parks and all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
So there's a number of areas. Yeah. So we'll bring it up to the right committee once it's gone through ELT.
Yeah, I think the point that Tim's raising is actually an extremely good one, which is that you know, we don't want to inherit after the fact the sort of the ongoing cost without having considered that at the front end of the process.
And Mark also raises that some of them are unsafe. We actually wouldn't build them on our road reserve because they're not, if you hit them, they are probably stronger than your car. And so, you know, there are a number of issues with quite a number, but appreciate they've been put in over the last probably century, probably.
I'm just saying we've got to stop it, and it'd be sometimes it's better not to receive a gift than to receive it.
Yeah,
So
the
we-
issue
we-
does. Sorry.
Members, we hear what you're saying, and we will make sure we consider that in terms of the information coming forward to you.
Aaron?
Yeah, so in the options, I didn't see an option for removing the box off the side, lifting the tree out of the hole, because it was a transplanted tree anyway, and then just digging the hole deeper and dropping the tree back in so it's no longer in a box, it's ground level.
But there was an option 5, I believe, to remove the tree entirely, but I don't know. We actually did talk about transplanting it.
Not remove it entirely, because then it wouldn't be palm dry,
Maybe
it would
not.
just be...
Covered in the
It
report,
would
but I
be.
believe the arborist did suggest that the tree health would suffer if it was transplanted, because they've got such shallow roots.
But it was a transplanted tree anyway. Is there a limit to how many times?
Been there for another 20 years on there, and I think the advice was that it was not going to cost any less than what the cost is. because
Yeah,
we have
well,
to-
Yeah, but my point
one of
is...
the reasons for the transfer is actually to look at the costs. I think that there's possibly other options for resolving this, Aaron. I think you're right. We need to look at the options.
No, that's small plants, Mike, it's not the tree back.
But the best place to refer this is not for us to make a decision on whether this is the right approach or not. The best place is to refer it to Mike's committee, which we're all
You
on.
can then all talk about it.
Yeah.
Anne?
Thank you. Just, I have a similar issue in Westmoreland actually, where developers put in bollards and things that are breaking down. So what's the best process? Is this the best process in terms of bringing that to council as an issue to deal with, or is it best to go through the community board? Yeah. So will the report that comes back to us outline a process that's best to deal with these
We
things?
will look at all those permutations and things that are causing us problems, bring it up through ELT and then back to the appropriate committee. Because there's also some of the things that people do like to put some kind of character on this area. We don't want to actually have I don't think we want to have every subdivision looking absolutely the same, Coronation Street in boxes kind of thing. Sorry, Coronation Street fans.
Aaron?
So-
I think the issue goes wider as well in terms of new subdivisions. Obviously, are trying to sell a product, and they do put the roads in asphalt and concrete footpaths.
Well,
and we
costs
know
should
that
lie
that's
where they
class standards
fall.
and that's-
Yes, we are.
Aaron?
So then the other question of it kind of going through a convoluted process of an annual plan, a long-term plan, so on and so forth, is there not $40,000 in the repairs budget for roads and gutters and everything else that can just get this job done, Dave? I mean, you must have a scope of, jeepers, that's come up this year, we'll fix that. You must have that budget.
Can we refer this to the relevant committee for
Right.
those things to be considered? Because
black box.
yeah, thank you. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you, and thank you, Pauline. That's very helpful. Resolution that saved a debate. No. What will come through is a different approach, I believe.